Alright, so it's Monday, May 3rd. I'm over here at the Crater of Diamonds State Park, so let's go see what we can find.
After you pay your fee, you go through those doors to go to the field to search for your diamonds. If you go to the right, you can see all kinds of history about the diamond mine. And if you go to the left, there is a gift shop right behind the counter where you pay your fee to go enter into the search field. Speaking of which, let's go have some fun.
Alright, there we go. There's the field. There's already several people out there. Parking lot is filling up fast. So let's get out there and get filthy. Here's a quickie overview of the park regulations. I'll let you freeze frame that or pause it. You can read that on your own. They have a small water park, which you can see over here. It's not active yet, for the little kids to play in, keep their little attention spans active. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the ramp because I'm pulling a cart, but they have steps over here also. And it comes out right over there. You can dig either on the north side, which is over here, or on the south side, which is over there. South side is the larger of the two. So if you bring a puppy dog, they have a couple of dishes out here for water for them. And there's my getup. Several buckets, a couple screen sets, a couple shovels. So I've made a couple of different screen sets. The top layer has a 1/4-inch mesh. If you go to a hardware store, like Lowe's or Home Depot, Atwoods, any of that stuff, they'll call it hardware cloth instead of a wire mesh. You see I put some handles on the sides, and I put a lip around the bottom set, so it just fits right in there, like that. That way you put the heavier material on top, and it catches all the larger rocks, and all the smaller stuff filters through and goes down to the bottom set. Now this bottom set, since this is so large, I put a 1/2-inch wire mesh underneath it to help support the weight, so that when all the material goes onto it, it'll sag. It'll just kind of sag. And so I didn't want this finer mesh to start to split or to rip open. So when it starts to sag like that, this heavier or this stronger 1/2-inch wire will catch it. Still, all the smaller stuff will be caught here on the top with this finer mesh, and all the larger mesh underneath will bear all the weight. Alright, so which side should I go? It's like, do I take the red pill or the blue pill? Do we go to the right? Go up north? It is muggy out today. It had a recent rain, and it's all overcast. Very steamy out this morning. Be sure to fill in your holes when you're done digging. So it's a big soupy mess out here today. Mud and gunk is sticking all over my tires, so it's moving a little slow. Here's one of the wash pavilions over here. They have a second one over there. So scattered throughout the park, you will see different shovels. And these shovels represent where a large diamond was found. So this is the Amarillo Starlight, 16.37 carats. It was cut down to 7.54. Right down there where that shovel is. So this is where the Shawl Diamond was found, 6.07 carats. Check this out. The Shawl Diamond, graded as E colorless and flawless, was cut into a pear-shaped gem and sold for $58,000. So the cut version, the 2.88, was sold for $58,000. So what we're looking for is a lot of gravel. We want these runoff areas where there's drainage. Basically all those little mounds where they grade. When the rain comes down, stuff falls down into these little runoff areas and they wash down. But the diamonds are heavier, so is gravel. So we want to find areas where there's a lot of gravel, not where it's just loose dirt. Like this right here is just all dirt, so we're not going to look at any of that stuff. A lot of loose dirt, some larger rocks. But for the most part, there's a lot of smaller rocks, but it's coming from people's dump piles from up there. So this is probably not the best area. Who knows, it may be. One good thing also is finding a large rock like this. You can see where when the water's coming down, it's going to rush on either side, that side and that side, the water behind it. All this stuff from here is being pushed down and it hits this wall, and the heavier minerals will go underneath it or around it and work its way under it. So the best place to look around here would be right around this rock, either under it, some in the front, or around here in the back. So I just set a bucket down. I'm going to pause for a minute. I want to show you that there's been a few deer out here, and these are does. A doe, their imprints will be kind of toes kind of poking towards each other. Now a buck, its hoof prints will be facing out, kind of like that. So this is a doe. Alright, so this drainage coming down here, I'm going to go through and find the spots where there's some larger rocks. I'm going to move the rocks out of the way, dig out the gravel underneath it, and put those in a bucket. And we'll wash those out later. So there's a few larger rocks down there. So I just found a large conglomerate rock right next to this one, and I'm going to try and dig out around it a little bit. A conglomerate is, see how it's got several rocks all combined in there together, almost kind of like concrete, really. So it's just all grouped together. After you fill up your bucket, as you can see, it's pretty wet out there. So I got a bunch of dirt out of there, put it in a couple of different buckets, and give it a minute, and then all the dirt will settle down because it's heavier, and the water will come up to the top. You can pour some of that water out to lighten the load on your bucket, so it's not so heavy when you have to carry it. Plus, it gives you another minute of a break. See how it's just filling right back up again? This is the location of where the Okie Dokie diamond was found. 4.21 carats. Found right there. Notice how all the little valley areas up here by my cart, it's mainly a lot of dirt that has washed down into it and is all flowing down, and then most of the larger rocks and all the heavier material has worked its way down that way from the rains. But you can see a big difference from the rocks here to hardly any rocks up there. So I'm not going to work anywhere near around any of this stuff. I'm going to work over where all the heavier material is. And as a little side note, to get a little sugar boost, get a little energy, I like to have some grapes because it both hydrates you and fills you up at the same time, and it gives you some natural sugars. Down here by a drain, everything's flowing down through here and going out that way. But down here at the base, there is some gravel here, but for the most part, it's just all a lot of dirt. So what I'm looking for is the gravel, the heavier material. So in all these little drainage areas, there's a lot of gravel and rocks. So one thing I'm going to look at getting is, see how everything's built up right here, kind of like a natural dam right there where that big rock is. So I'll remove that rock, get everything underneath it, and everything right here in front of it that is built up. But as you can see, all the heavy rocks have settled down into the little valleys here on all of these rows. Yes, there's some here on the top, but for the most part, when it gets wet, they'll roll down into the little valleys, and then they'll wash out. Same thing with the diamonds, because the diamonds are heavier than what the dirt is, so the diamonds will go settle down also, and then they'll wash out. So I'm going to go work my way from down here at the bottom and just dig my way up the little ditches and try to get to 6 more buckets, which shouldn't take too long. The long part is getting it through all this mud up there to the wash station, and classifying all the material, separating out the larger rocks from the smaller. All right, now comes the fun part. Got to get my buckets from over there to over here to the cart, and then pull it through all of this stuff. Here, check this out. Got my rubber boots. Hey, I look good. Rubber boots and shorts. And so you just sink right through all this mud. Got to get up there to the wash station. And then eventually, there's the north wash station. Way out there is on the other side of that building over there, past the woods, is the parking lot. Well, it's about 1:15, and I'm taking a little break. I've got 4 more buckets to wash up there. And then time to go back at it. Park closes at 4 o'clock. See the difference in how brown it is over here and how green it looks over there? You're able to rent cages like this right here and store your stuff if you wanted to.
Alright, so let's take a few minutes up here and wash some of our material at the wash station. Now my screen sets are made with wood, which I like actually. I know some people prefer metal screen sets, but I actually prefer wood, mainly because it actually helps you whenever you're going to whenever you're going to bounce your material up and down, because the wood is buoyant, and therefore you don't have to lift as much whenever you're pushing it down. It wants to bounce right back up. Now you see what I'm doing with my hand right there? I'm taking the mud and I'm kind of mushing it down into the 1/4-inch mesh. If you've ever shredded cheese on a grater or anything like that, it's kind of the same idea, where you just kind of rub it over it, and then it breaks up all the little mud balls and stuff, and all the dirt filters through, and then you leave all the larger material right there on top of the 1/4-inch mesh. With all the material that you don't want to keep, people have just been dumping it off to the side. Every time I wash some material, I'm always surprised at how many rocks are in there. When I'm digging it up, it looks like it's just regular dirt inside my shovel. But as you can see there, it's like I had no idea there were that many rocks in there. And that's just on the top set. I usually do about a half a bucket at a time. And I'll always take a small shovel and I'll do the top half of the bucket. And then for the second load, I'll just pick the bucket up itself. That way I don't have to bear the weight of a full bucket. Alright, now let's take just a minute to spread out this big giant mound of dirt. You see all that mud right there? Let's give this thing a shimmy and a shake, and let's grade it over top of the 1/4-inch mesh, and let's see how much gravel we have in there. See that rock right there? That's called a Lamparite, and we're just going to leave it right over there. Alright, let's bring it back to real time for a minute. Now, check out all that gravel right there. See, when I was putting that dirt in there, it looked like just shovelfuls of dirt. I had no idea it had that much gravel in there. With every load that I washed, I also pulled out about 1,000,000 roots in there too. Alright, so here's another load, and I'm doing this to show how my 2 screen sets fit together. Now all of my heavier stuff is being caught right there on the top, and then all of the smaller stuff is filtering through all of the 1/4-inch mesh and is being caught on the screen set below.
And then I based it with the spoon, 2 tablespoons of butter, and the herbs. And you can use all kinds of different herbs. If you have fresh rosemary sprout, that's the best. Let's just check the rest of it. It's hard to do. Just looking at
Alright, now I'm going to put this top set aside with all the heavier material on it, and we're going to check out the bottom set and see what that's going to look like. Alright, so we're going to lift it up out of the water. You see how it's filled up to the top up there, and I have to kind of drain it out a little bit? It's because it's solid at the bottom. You just have to give it a little bit of a shimmy and a shake again, and that kind of stirs it up a little bit because all of the dirt has settled down there at the bottom, and it's not letting any of the water filter through on that fine mesh. And so you just give it a little shake again, and the water can filter through and get all the smaller granules of dirt, and then it'll leave you with your smaller material in there in the fine mesh screen. When you're coming out here to the crater, especially if you're going to be working over here at the wash station, don't wear white. Please don't wear white. And also I would recommend some long like rubber gloves and also an apron, preferably not a cloth apron because that'll just soak up all the water. And so maybe it's rubber or plastic or something like that, something to keep you dry, because I got out of there. I was pretty soaking wet by the time I got out of there, but that's okay. It kind of cooled me off for as hot as it was out there that day. All right, so let's lift it up and take a look at what we got. See anything in there? Yeah, me either.
Draining the tubs. Well, I've been up since 12:48 this morning. Could not fall asleep. My wife came to bed then. Actually, it's 12:38. I'm sorry, 12:38. And so I was up for a while, kind of tossing and turning. Then about 2 o'clock, my youngest son came in, and then about 2:30, my second daughter came in, and then about a little after 3, my cat was meowing at my open window. And so I figured, it's about 4 o'clock. I'll just get up and drive on down to the crater. So it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon now, and I'm about pooped after doing about a 4.5 hour drive. And then digging all day here, and so I've got another 4.5 hour drive on the way back home. Overall, it's a lot of fun. You can find some neat stuff here. Finding a diamond is, I would say, rare. It's kind of like playing the lottery. Basically, you have a big open field over here, just all around. I'm under a tree right now, so I'm under some shade, but there's more stuff over there behind that also. And so you don't know where they're going to be at. And like this field over here, everybody's dug down like the top 3 feet, and then they put it back, dug down, put it back, dug down, put it back. And so you're just kind of trying to see what it is that other people have missed, for the most part. Is it worth the $10 for the fun? Yeah. Would you come do it all the time? Probably not until you find your diamond. If you find a diamond, you'll probably get hooked. I did not so far. I have to go through everything when I get home, but right now I haven't found anything, but I had a lot of fun. I'd definitely come back. Would not recommend it in the summer. It is May 3rd, and it was already really, really hot. It was super muggy this morning, and yeah, so if you've got a big open field, you got a big open sky, which means a lot of sun. And so please bring protection, whether it's a hat, sunblock, something to protect yourself or your little ones, and lots of water because they will get dehydrated fast. Like I said earlier, I recommend bringing some fruit. That way they get some natural sugars to kind of give them a little boost, and also hydrates them while they eat. I would avoid salty things like chips or nuts and stuff like that, because that'll just make them more thirsty. So overall, had a fun time, and we'll take a look at all the stuff that I got at home here in a little bit. So thanks.
So this is one of those times where you're going through your material and your heart just kind of skips a beat a little bit. You're just like, oh wow, man, that's so beautiful. Look how pretty and shiny it is compared to everything else around it. And then you're like, nope, it's clear. That's just quartz. Darn it. But still, you get that little thrill, that excitement there for a minute. And then you can't sleep for like 2 hours thinking, what if? What if? Turns out this thing right here is just a piece of glass. I found a few pieces of glass in all of my dirt. But man, when you're digging through your dirt and you see something that's nice and shiny and it has that luster, it kind of makes your heart skip a beat for a minute. At first I thought maybe this was a yellow, but I think it's just a little piece of citrine quartz.
The clear quartz will mess with your head. You'll be looking at all this dirt, and then you see something shiny that's clear, and it has nice and sparkly, and it's like, ooh, I found something. But it's like, nope, it's just clear quartz. Check out this little find. It's a piece of quartz with a clear piece still attached up there to the top. So I had my hopes up at first. I was like, ooh, something green and shiny. I have not heard of anything like that before, but I think it's just a piece of broken glass again. I found a few of these little shards. Maybe from an old Sprite bottle or something like that. Had my hopes on this one. My hopes were up, but it's just a piece of quartz. It's a little bit of yellow iron staining on it. See how it's yellow down there at the bottom? That's probably where it was connected. You have to be careful when you're sifting through your material. You never know what you're going to find. I have found some old rusty nail pieces. I had 3 or 4 of them. I threw away a couple of them, but I thought, you know what, I better hang on to a couple just so people can see what it is that they can find in the dirt. So please don't walk around barefoot when you're out there in the field. You never know what you're going to find, or how old some of these nails could be. I mean, these things could be like 40, 50 years old. You never know what's out there, what kind of bottles, and there's a lot of trash that people just bury. I have found shoes, toothbrushes, cigarette butts, all kinds of stuff, broken glass. You can find all kinds of trash out there. Unfortunately, people are too lazy and don't throw away their trash. They just wind up throwing it in the dirt. Here's one that's a little more kind of waxy-like. See that? It's like it's all smoothed over. It's not very reflective. This is known as Lamparite. It's about a 10-pound rock. You are able to take some rocks home from the Crater of Diamonds. They have it posted on a sign right there at the entrance as you go through the gift shop and make your way over through the Diamond Discovery Center to go out to the field. This is known as a conglomerate. You can find these rocks all over in the park. Basically, they're just a bunch of rocks that are stuck together like a natural type of concrete.
Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed day.